How are you guys doing? Today is Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do an elite individual profile on Pete Alonso. The elite first baseman for the New York Mets turns 27 today, and my intention with this episode is, of course, to provide the accomplishments, the achievements, and the accolades that Alonso has been able to accomplish up until this point in his career. And at the same time, I'm also going to provide the stats because, of course, that works with providing context as well. And I think just to take a really quick step back and consider how many players are competing for spots in the MLB, considering how many players are really going at this, how very few players can go into the league and do what Pete Alonso has done in the very few games that Pete Alonso has played. I think that is the argument in itself for why Pete Alonso should be recognized as one of the elite baseball players and all. If you're unfamiliar with Pete Alonso, he's a very big and stocky guy. His nickname is literally the polar bear. He's a strong baseball player. He packs a lot of power. And of course, packing a lot of power, he can hit the ball incredibly well, not to mention that he does play defense incredibly well. But I think that with that said, I'm just going to get into his story. He's originally from Tampa, Florida. He would originally go on to play college baseball with the University of Florida before eventually getting taken with the 64th overall pick in the 2016 MLB draft by the New York Mets. Looking at other players that were taken in that round, Bo Bichette was actually taken 2 picks after Pete Alonso in that draft. Brian Reynolds was taken out of Vanderbilt by the San Francisco Giants, exactly 5 picks before him. Corbin Burns, who went on to win the Cy Young this year, and Shane Bieber, who won the Cy Young in 2020, were also taken in that draft as well. They were taken in the 4th round of that draft, just for reference, just for context. But he would be drafted by the New York Mets out of college, and he would finally make his way up to make his debut with the New York Mets in his age 24 season in 2019. And of course, his rookie season would be a blast. In his age 24 season, he would go on to play all 161 of the games he would play for a New York Mets team that finished with an 86-76 record. They finished with the 3rd best record in the National League East. Spoiler alert, the New York Mets have yet to make the playoffs with Pete Alonso in the roster, but this is the best record that they had. This is also the year in which Jacob deGrom would go on to win his 2nd consecutive Cy Young Award. But in this year, Pete Alonso will go on to take the National League Rookie of the Year. In the 161 games he played, he finished with 155 hits, which is 5 less hits, but that's still an incredible amount of hits for a rookie year. He finished with 103 runs, as he also had 100 RBIs as well. He finished with 30 doubles on the season, 53 home runs, which led the National League. It's very rare in which you see a rookie lead the National League in home runs, and he broke a National League rookie record. He would also go on to hit 120 RBIs on the year, which of course cements his 100-100 season. At the conclusion of the year, he would finish with a 260 batting average. His 358 on-base percentage and 583 slugging percentage would combine into a 941 OPS, which to date are the highest on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and OPS that he's ever posted in his career. He finished with an OPS of 147, meaning his OPS was 47 points higher than the average hitter. He finished with 348 total bases on the season, which is the most total bases he finished a season with. In addition to being named a Rookie of the Year and an All-Star, he was also 7th in an MVP race that would eventually go on to see Cody Bellinger of the Los Angeles Dodgers take the trophy home. And the Mets would go on to miss the playoffs, but Pete Alonso would go on to be the very first all-MLB first-team first baseman, and that was in his rookie season. As he did go on to lead the MLB in home runs, and he would go on to set quite the standard, and he would establish quite the fan base, quite the following in New York following his rookie season, in which he basically turned the league on its head. Following his debut season in which he shook the league, he would come back for his second season. His age 25 season, he would go on to play 57 of the 60 games that the Mets played in the shortened COVID season. Since they shortened the season from 162 games to 60 games, they did expand the playoffs. However, the Mets would still not make the cut for the expanded playoffs. In the 57 games he played, Alonso finished with 48 hits. He would go on to finish with 31 runs in those 57 games. He had 6 doubles, 16 home runs alongside 35 RBIs, as he had a .231 batting average and an .817 OPS. There were no All-Stars necessarily named this season, and since the Mets would go on to finish with a 26-34 record, they were tied for the worst record in the National League East. They would not qualify for the playoffs, and that would transition into this most recent season in which Pete Alonso was played. In his age 26 season, his third season with the New York Mets, he has played 152 games in a season in which the Mets finished with a 77-85 record. They finished with 9 less wins than they had their last full season in which Alonso won Rookie of the Year. In the 152 games he played, he finished with 147 hits, which is 5 less hits than games played for the entirety of the season. Finished with 81 runs as he had 27 doubles, which is 3 less doubles than his rookie season. He would finish with 37 home runs and 94 RBIs, which is not even close to what he put up his rookie season, but which are still incredible numbers to put up over the entirety of a season. His batting average would be at about .262, which is 2 points higher than what it was his rookie year. He finished with an .863 OPS as his .344 on-base percentage was 14 points lower than his rookie year, and his .519 slugging percentage would go on to be 64 points lower than it was his rookie year. He would finish with a 134 OPS, even though he missed the playoffs, Pete Alonso would still have a very solid year, and the Mets would still miss the playoffs, but this would lead to where Pete Alonso is right now, as he is turning 27, getting ready to go into his 4th season with the New York Mets, and of course, many have a lot to expect out of him. And just knowing that he's been able to put together these numbers, especially these power numbers over this time, gives me a lot of certainty that Pete Alonso is definitely a player that is capable of continuing this for a very long time. And I can't wait to see what he does between now and next year. With that said, I want to thank the Pro Baseball Reference websites. I want to thank the MLB websites as well. And if you ever get a chance to watch Pete Alonso, I would. He's wearing number 20 for the New York Mets. And just don't forget that he is also he's the first Mets player to hit 50 home runs in a season. So this is not just this is most definitely a once in a lifetime, a player that this organization has. So I'm very excited for the New York Mets moving forward as they get to really see what Pete Alonso can become. And I'm glad that we're really early on because I can't wait to see what comes. With that said, thanks for listening to all 8-9 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. Thanks for following the world of sports with me, one day at a time with me. And once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I will come back with another episode of The Elite. Until then, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you with another piece tomorrow. Peace out.